So today I wanted to make some spaghetti and meatballs, and I decided to home make the meatballs, but I didn't have that much meat. So I'm going to be using a little bit of chopped onion, a little bit of chopped garlic, and some breadcrumbs as a filler. So that was about 5 cloves of garlic, just a little bit of onion, and this is about half a pound of meat. Then I am going to mix together into a bowl until it's all very well incorporated together. And then once I'm done with that, I am going to add an egg as a binder. So this helps the meat, the onions, the garlic, and the breadcrumbs I'm going to add in a second stick together. And you're going to see that I'm slowly adding breadcrumbs as I'm mixing in. So I add a little bit at a time. Came out to probably a half to 2/3 of a cup total. And just keep mixing until you feel the meatballs until you feel the meat start to stick together in a way that you think it'll hold together into a meatball. Once you're done with that, go ahead and add a little bit of salt and some pepper just to season the meat just a little bit. And then you're going to go ahead and mix that together again. And once you're done, you're going to start making your meatballs. This is really easy. Just pinch out a little piece of meat and roll it into a ball the size that you want. This is kind of the size that I'm going with, but you can make yours bigger or smaller depending on your own preference. And so I just went through all of the meat. This half pound of meat with all of my fillers made about 10 meatballs, which was a pretty good amount for the amount of spaghetti that I was making. I went ahead and preheated my pan and tested it with just a little bit of meat to make sure it was hot. And then I started adding my meatballs into the pan. And you want to, this isn't going to take long. You're not trying to fully cook the meatballs here. You're just trying to get them kind of crispy and browned on the outside. So we're going to cook them in the sauce as we're cooking the spaghetti. So you don't need to worry about cooking them through in this step. And you'll see that I kind of overcooked them and they fell apart just a little bit. It actually shouldn't take that long to cook them. I just kind of stepped away from it for a second. So as I'm adding the rest of the meatballs, you'll see that it takes very little time to actually brown them on all sides. But the longer you cook them, the more likely you are to have it fall apart, kind of like that one in the middle did. So I'm going to start adding the rest of my meatballs here, and I'm going to kind of show you how long it actually took to cook them real time. It was just about a minute, so don't step away from these, kind of keep an eye on them. I'm sorry if the camera over the cooking is a little bit jumpy. I need to figure out my recording setup and how it's going to be. And as you can see, I'm just turning them, so I'm trying to get them browned on all sides, just so that there's a little bit of color all around the meatball. Once I thought the meatballs were about done, I went ahead and added a full jar of spaghetti sauce. I added a full jar of spaghetti sauce and just kind of mix around the meatballs in there. And since I'm going to cook the spaghetti in the sauce, this obviously isn't enough to cook spaghetti in. So I went ahead and added a full jar of water and then my spaghetti, and this will give me enough sauce to cook the spaghetti in. But the starch in the spaghetti and cooking it for long enough for the, I think 15 minutes it took to get the spaghetti cooked, will reduce the sauce enough that it's kind of like a normal consistency. Then I decided that I wanted to have some garlic bread, and I had some in the freezer, so I just preheated the oven See that? I was very excited about it. And you can see that the sauce is starting to thicken up and the spaghetti is starting to get nice and cooked. And those meatballs are holding together pretty well now. Tasted it and decided I need to add some pepper, some basil leaves, and some sage. I think I used sage. And then I went ahead and tasted again, and I decided I liked how that came out. And these are the pieces of garlic bread I'm using. And at this point, I turned off the spaghetti. I didn't take it off of the heat, but I just kind of left it on that burner to kind of finish cooking. But it's basically done at this point. And then once I put the bread in the oven, I took the spaghetti off. And this is it all finished. I went ahead and added some red pepper flakes just for a little bit of heat. And then just some of this Parmesan cheese. And I think it came out tasting really good. I hope you try it and I hope you enjoy it.